NASA looks at going to the moon one day, and to Mars, and to get to Mars, they're going nuclear from telecommunication to interstellar exploration. Humanity has always sought ways to go faster and farther and achieve more in a shorter time traveling. At the speed of light is something considered impossible a few decades ago, but now scientists have finally cracked the code to achieve this monumental milestone. And we may well be on our way to making spacecraft that can travel at 10 times the speed of light. What breakthroughs have scientists made in the pursuit of creating space vessels that travel faster than the speed of light? How soon before we can launch a spacecraft with this ability will there be any consequences for traveling at such speeds? Join us in this video as scientists finally discover a new way to travel 10 times faster than music light. It has always been a basic human desire to pursue technological advancements. One way this desire has always manifested itself is the desire to do things faster. Faster computers, faster internet, faster mobile devices. The list goes on and on. Surely there's been massive developments over the years in all of these areas. You'd agree that the computers we have today are nothing compared to the ones we had 2 decades ago. The same goes for satellites and machinery. Our cars today are 10 times faster than what they used to be, but it's not just cars and satellites that we have improved on. Perhaps the most incredible feat of humanity in terms of speed so far has been in aviation today. We have made planes that can fly faster than any birds on the planet. We also have jets like the F-35 that break the sound barrier. Think about the Concorde, for instance. It is the first plane to fly at supersonic speed. It was truly a milestone for aviation when this aircraft could move at 1,354 miles per hour, which is more than 2 times the speed of sound. This incredible speed allowed it to make the trip from London to New York in 3 hours or less. But as fascinating as the Concorde and other modern-day fighter jets may be, in terms of speed they still lag compared to what we use in space exploration. Our spacecraft are currently the fastest aircraft we have. I'm pretty sure you've heard about space rockets or even seen them in action. These machines can go as fast as 18,000 miles per hour. You see, to escape out of the Earth's atmosphere and enter into orbit, you must reach at least 17,600 miles per hour. But this speed requirement goes up several times higher. If you're talking about traveling from Earth to another planet, say Mars, to do that, you have to reach speeds of at least 25,000 meters per hour. This is why most of the probes scientists send into space need an immense amount of thrust to get to the destination. For instance, the Juno probe that orbited Jupiter from 1995 to 2003 traveled through space at 74 kilometers per second. Now that's over 266,000 kilometers per hour. You'd agree that such speed is totally mind-blowing. Space probes can travel at such wind-breaking speeds thanks to their complex propulsion systems. First, for launches, space agencies like NASA use a combination of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen for fuel. Hydrogen, being the substance with the lowest molecular weight, helps keep the weight of the rocket small when combined with liquid oxygen. It makes for a highly effective yet very lightweight fuel. Sometimes aluminum, along with an explosive, is also used to provide an extra boost, especially for heavier spacecraft, usually before a probe is launched. The path is already pre-planned, and calculations are made to determine how fast it would have to travel to arrive at its target once a spacecraft has been successfully launched a good distance into outer space. The launch vehicle provides most of the major propulsion force in the right path, and disengages ion thrusters are then used to propel the spacecraft in deep space. These ion engines use very light fuel but provide very strong thrust force that pushes the aircraft forward at crazy speeds. Beyond that, scientists also take advantage of the gravity of planets and moons to boost or accelerate a spacecraft, thereby saving fuel. This is one thing that has enabled probes like the Voyager 1 and 2 to stay alive for over 4 decades. As for navigation, small hydrogen thrusters are used to make small adjustments to flight paths to help these probes maneuver through space. Currently, Voyager 1 is the fastest spacecraft we have, traveling at a whopping 17 kilometers per second. That's an insane speed right there. But in terms of cosmic scale, it's of no significance. That's because it's still nothing compared to the speed of light. The dream of many scientists and technologists is to build anything that can travel at the speed of light. Until this dream is realized, We may never be able to explore other star systems in our own galaxy, much less travel to other galaxies in the universe. I'm sure you know that interstellar travel distance is measured in light years. For example, the distance between the Milky Way galaxy and the Andromeda galaxy is about 2.2 million light years. In other words, it would take 2.2 million years to get to Andromeda. If we manage to travel at light speed, this should give you an idea of how massive the universe is and why scientists are so interested in making this light speed travel a reality. But then this begs the question, has there ever been an aircraft reportedly faster than the speed of light? Well, yes, shockingly, not one, but several aircraft have been reported here on Earth to be as fast as the speed of light. But here's the thing, they weren't man-made. There has never been a man-made aircraft that has gone faster than the speed of light. But several UFOs or UAPs have been reported to move at such speeds, even under the influence of extremely high wind resistance. UFOs have always been a topic of controversy for several reasons. One such reason is the odd and unnatural features and abilities they possess. These craft don't seem to have any visible propulsion systems, and yet they can move seamlessly and multidirectionally. That's not all they've been reported to move at astonishing speeds, too. Some are even believed to be faster than the speed of light. One such report came from David Fravor, a retired Navy veteran who shared his UFO encounter at the U.S. Congress hearing in June 2023. Farr described what he called a tic-tac encounter. It all happened back in 2004 when Fravor was still a Navy pilot as commander of the F/A8F squadron. He was alerted to the case of an anomaly, a weird object that had been detected in the area, according to Fravor. At the time, operators had detected multiple anomalous aerial vehicles. These vehicles didn't belong to the Navy, and weirdly enough, they were doing something that was practically impossible. Fravor explained that the strange objects were accelerating vertically into space and descending back down 880,000 feet. In less than a second, no man-made aircraft can perform this feat even presently. So you could imagine how baffling this must have been for David Freer and his squad. Fravor was asked to investigate the event, and he did so with his FA-18F fighter jet. As he approached the location, he spotted a white tic-tac object. In the distance, he and his colleagues observed the strange object for about 20 minutes before deciding to move in for a closer look. That was when the object suddenly came alive and accelerated at such a mind-boggling speed that it seemed to disappear out of sight, according to Fravor. This object had no wings, no thrusters, no propulsion systems of any kind, and no exhaust or air vents. And so how it managed to move so fast is something Fravor can't explain. Till this very day, he mentioned that less than a minute later, the object was spotted again over 60 miles away from its first position during his testimony at the Congress. Hearing Fravor admitted that the technology exhibited by this tic-tac object far exceeds anything we had then or anything we could possibly build in the next 10 years. Fravor testimony matches the accounts of several Americans and other folks around the world who claim to have seen UFCL that seem to disappear and reappear in an instant. That's exactly what traveling at light speed would look like. However, such speed could literally kill you because of the G-forces you'd have to contend with. If you've ever seen a Navy flight pilot at high speed from the inside of the cockpit, you know that traveling at high speeds causes tension to the pilot. You can see them become very uptight. Their skin shrivels and their bodies seem to become suspended under high tension. The G-forces experienced at such speeds can cause muscle pain, vision problems, nausea, and so on. Usually, pilots are trained to handle G-forces, but even in combat or during missions, they try to limit the amount of G-forces to the least minimum, otherwise they could pass out and crash. This is one thing that has killed many pilots over the years, making extremely fast turns. And maneuvers at high speeds can subject a pilot to extremely high G-forces and cause accidents. So given that these aircraft are barely faster than the speed of sound, you can imagine how terrible the G-forces will be when you're traveling at the speed of light. Many scientists have deemed it to be impossible for humans to travel at such speeds, as the G-forces would literally rip you apart from the inside out. But then how do these UFOs do it? And given the fact that recent evidence from David Grouch suggests these UFOs are piloted by aliens, how do the aliens themselves manage to stay alive in such ultra-fast vehicles? You see, David Grouch, another witness at the 2023 U.S. Congress hearing for UAPs, made some shocking revelations. He disclosed that the U.S. government has been recovering non-human remains from UFO crash sites for decades. David Groh is a retired U.S. Air Force intelligence officer who found many shocking secrets during his time in service. Groh's revelations were a huge shock to many, but also a confirmation to UFO conspiracy theorists. For a long time, many have believed that UFOs were alien spacecraft, but the question of whether or not there were pilots behind the cockpits was a subject of controversy. However, thanks to this whistleblower, it seems that UFOs are truly the spacecraft of extraterrestrial species. Although Grush didn't give any physical evidence to support his claims, he gave the board assurance that he could deliver more evidence in the right setting. Grush withheld several sensitive information during the hearing. As he was afraid for his safety, he, however, confessed that he could deliver the names of people to ask questions and also point the Congress in the right direction. If given a one-on-one private hearing in a skiff, Grouch's testimony didn't just cause an uproar on the subject of the existence of extraterrestrials, it also caused an uproar in the area of alien technology adaptation. David Groh gave an account of how the government has been reverse engineering alien technology for decades. In other words, the government has been trying to improve the capabilities of military aircraft by harnessing alien technology. This revelation shockingly acts as a strong alibi to another famous story, the story of Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar is an American who claims to have been hired by the government in the 1980s to reverse engineer alien technology. His story won public attention, but he has long been labeled a conspiracy theorist. However, some members of the public do believe his story, especially after whistleblower David Grouch's testimony. And so the big question is, have we somehow found a way to make aircraft that can move and navigate like UFOs for now? No one knows, however, scientists have discovered a way to make an object move as fast as the speed of light, perhaps even faster than UFOs. In fact, if this hypothesis becomes a reality, we could have spacecraft that could travel 10 times the speed of light. How's this possible? Well, it's all thanks to a genius idea drawn from science fiction. I'm sure you've seen some movies in which a spacecraft accelerates and suddenly disappears into some kind of dimensional stream or bubble, in which it travels at super fast speeds in such movie scenes. The vessel could travel across galaxies or dimensions in just a few minutes or seconds to arrive at the needed destination. Scientists have long studied this seemingly impossible feat and have finally found a way to make this work in real life. You see, while it may be impossible to travel faster than the speed of light, it's possible to warp space-time, like we see in the movies, to enable the traveling vessel. Do be impossible. Such a trip would still be very safe, as there would be no excessive G-forces to tear you apart. Einstein's law of relativity explains that traveling at the speed of light is impossible for objects that have a non-zero rest mass, so we will only be able to travel at light speed if we have an infinite amount of kinetic energy. But here's the thing, instead of focusing on increasing the kinetic energy of the object, it's a lot easier to warp the space around the object, to enable it to travel faster. The hypothetical device that would make this possible is called a warp drive. The concept of a warp drive was first introduced by author John Campbell in his 1957 book, Islands of Space. The idea was made more popular by the famous sci-fi movie series Star Trek, and the movie Humanity was exploring the deepest parts of the cosmos thanks to a specially made vehicles that employed the use of warp drives to travel faster than the speed of light. The speed of light is 300,000 kilometers per second. Surely you would agree that it's impossible to accelerate to such speed without getting ripped apart. However, with the warp drive, all you would have to do is warp the spacetime with a velocity higher than the speed of light in Star Trek, for instance. The Starship could achieve a maximum warp velocity of 9,000 times the speed of light. Such a velocity would make traveling across stars and galaxies almost seamless. There's a vast space between planets and galaxies. Some galaxies are up to billions of light years across. A light year is approximately 9 trillion km. So traveling at light speed just won't be enough for cosmic exploration. Ultimately, we would have to create vessels that can travel at several times the speed of light. If we are to explore faraway parts of the cosmos, is this really possible? Can we truly achieve such remarkable travel speeds in reality? Or is it just a thing of fiction? The scientific community strongly believes that it is possible to travel faster than light, especially using the warp theory for scientists. This is just another hurdle to cross, another breakthrough to unlock. It's no different from other seemingly impossible feats that we've achieved, like the light bulb or wireless communication. For now, the major hurdle is creating a functional warp drive. Physicists, theoretical scientists, and engineers are all working together to find a way to make the warp drive a reality. Just so you know, this concept of warping is actually based on some real laws of physics according to Einstein's theory of relativity. The universe is a flat sheet of space-time. Any object with mass exerts a warping effect on it. The evidence of the distortion of space-time is experienced as gravity. In other words, even you are creating a small warping effect on the universe. And this is why you feel the effects of gravity. In 1994, a Mexican scientist named Miguel Alur used Einstein's theory of relativity to develop a hypothetical model, a way to bypass traveling at the speed of light. He revealed in his paper that this could be done by expanding space-time behind the spacecraft and contracting the space-time in front of it. He also postulated that doing this would be possible with the help of something called the Alur drive. Basically, this drive would expend a tremendous amount of energy that would contract space-time in front while expanding behind, thereby creating some kind of bubble inside the bubble. Everything would seem normal, like the vessel is traveling at a proper average speed. But outside the bubble, observers would notice a strange warping or tremendous acceleration faster than the speed of light. And so although the basic rules of physics would still be at play inside the bubble, the vessel would be traveling at lightning speed. Across the universe, traveling inside such a space bubble will mean zero gravity effects, since the distortion caused by the vessel would be unnoticeable. Thanks to the warping of the surrounding spacetime, you won't experience any g-forces or any of the other things you should suffer while traveling at light speeds. It would just be like normal travel, even though the bubble is hurtling through time and space. At mind-boggling speeds, Allure suggests that using his theory, it would be possible to travel at 360 degrees per second speeds, 10 times the speed of light. It's quite impressive considering the fact that it may be physically impossible to beat the speed of light. The entire concept entails traveling in an enclosed ring of negative mass across the universe. However, traveling at 10 times the speed of light won't suffice for interstellar travel. We'd have to create something similar or exactly like the warp drives used in the Star Trek movies to enable us to travel at 7,000 times the speed of sound. But even if we manage to create a warp drive, there's still another problem: the amount of energy that will be required to power such a drive. So it would bypass the light barrier would be unthinkable. Some members of the scientific community have estimated that propelling a spaceship beyond light speed would need 100 times the energy contained in massive planets like Jupiter. Such energy far exceeds what you get from atomic bomb blasts like the Hiroshima event. And so you can imagine what it would mean to find such an energy source and finally harness it to power a warp drive. It's a huge problem scientists are still scratching their heads over, but it's not the only problem. There will be a requirement for negative energy if the concept of contracting and expanding spacetime on opposite ends is to truly become possible. Scientists have still not found a way to meet this negative energy requirement. So until that happens, our dream of having a functional warp drive to power spaceships beyond the light barrier may just be impossible. However, scientists and researchers aren't relenting. All hands are on deck to overcome the numerous hurdles, so we can finally achieve the long dream of exploring the farthest parts of the cosmos in manned vehicles, just like we see in the movies. But then there are some conspiracy theorists who believe that certain secret government agencies may have already found a way to travel across galaxies with the help of alien technology. In any case, there's no proof that humanity currently has the technology to travel across galaxies, but at least now we know it's possible. It's no longer a question of how, but a matter of when. Hopefully we may get to see